Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
Will you please welcome Reverend Toni Lynn Cormier.
Well, good morning, and I want to thank Reverend Harriet for allowing me this honor to be here today. And so when I get nervous, sometimes I have a tendency to talk fast, and then I break out into song. So I'm just going to declare that I am calm, poised, and clear.
Yes, yes.
All right. So the inner and outer spectrum. When I was preparing for today's talk, I thought about how we all want to be in the light, but how light and dark coexist. And sometimes things happen beyond our control, and sometimes things happen because of our actions. So I want to start today's talk with a story that kind of sums all of this up. So I had decided I want to get in shape. And I saw a flyer for Team in Training. And Team in Training is the fundraising arm of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So they were doing the Nike Women's Half Marathon in San Francisco. And I thought, oh my God, what a great opportunity. Now, part of this, you have to raise money. So I went to friends and I said, hey, I'm doing this event, this half marathon, will you sponsor me? And I was getting responses like, you? Toni, do you know how far a half marathon is? Now, mind you, I knew it was 13.1 miles, but I had no vision of the distance. But I'm like, I can do this because they're going to train me, and I want to do this. So the first week was great. I got a purple shirt. I love the color purple. I got new sneakers, meeting new people. So the second week, we started the actual training. But I'm like, I'm gonna do this. People don't think I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna prove them wrong. So about a third of the way in the training, I had to have minor surgery. So I was gone for a few weeks and then I come back. And so we do the 6-mile walk. So I get home probably about 11, and I'm on the couch till I go to bed. And I know you guys don't know me, but I'm a genius. So I decide, you know what? Maybe I should conserve my energy and stop training. So I do. So a week before the event, they're doing a dry run of the walk. And I say, you know what? I'll just look at the map. Mind you, I don't know how to read a map, but then I said there'll be markers along the way. I'll be fine. So now is the day before the event, and I'm panicking because I know I have not trained for this. People don't think I'm going to do it, but I have to do it. So, because I'm a true religious scientist, I call the World Ministry of Prayer, Silent Unity. Every practitioner and minister I knew, please pray for me. So now it's the morning of, and I know because my team decided to train, I would not be with them because they're going to be going ahead. So right before we start, I get this mantra, God is, I am. So I take off, God is, I am, every step of the way. Now, if you saw me at a distance, you'd say, is that person moving? But I don't care because I'm moving. As slow as I'm moving. So I have my mantra, God is, I am. God is, I am. I see the mile 9 marker, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this. God is, I am. Then, because we're in San Francisco, I'm near the Cliff House, and it's like up above, like on this hill. And I'm hearing the crowd, and I think, oh my gosh, I've done this. And then I say, I got this. And I waddle down this hill, and the crowd's getting louder, but I can't see them, but I can hear them. And so I'm a little confused, and then this guy jumps out, and he's like, congratulations, you just have to go through the park. through the park, and I look over, I see Golden Gate Park. Do you know how big Golden Gate Park is? So then I see the mile 10 marker. So then I know, okay, I have 3.1 more miles. But because I had declared, I got this, and I stopped my mantra of God is, I am. Guess who struggled in the park? It took me longer to do the 3.1 miles than it took me to do the 10 miles when I was absolutely in alignment with God. But because I said, I got this, my back hurts, my feet hurt, and I don't want to do it. So I tell the person, where's the poop out bus? Because they had this van that was going around picking up people. And they said, oh, because you're in the park, no automobiles can come in here. So now I'm mad. And just questioning everything. And why didn't I train all the whys? So I'm stopped and I'm like, okay, I've got to do this. I'm not happy. But then my team and training coach comes. And oh, is she ever perky. And she has a cowbell. Come on, Toni. If I had had any more energy, it would not have been pretty for her. So, to make a long story short, I was the very last half marathoner. They opened the course, the cleanup angels came to let me know they're opening up the course, but I did it. Now, why am I sharing? Why am I sharing that pathetic story? Because God is always available to us when we plug in. And because there was a part of me, and goes to the inner and outer spectrum, that knew I should have to struggle because I didn't prepare. I got in my own head, and see, when you align with God, that's where grace and ease comes. Because for the 10 miles when I was aligned, God is, I am, it flowed. But the second I said, I got this, when I think I'm doing something, that's where struggle comes, pain comes, questioning my life decisions. But when we're in alignment with our indwelling spirit, and you know, like Jack beautifully sung, I am remembering. In that moment, I forgot who I was because I thought Toni's doing something. Toni creates chaos, but when I surrender to God, anything is possible, and how it can shift so quickly because it never dawned on me to go back to my mantra because now I'm just so invested in struggle, and it happens that easily, that quickly. And knowing God's Spirit, whatever you want to call your higher power, is available to you at any moment when you make this conscious decision to say, I'm in alignment. I am worthy of what I desire. In working in end-of-life care, a lot of people will say, ooh, oh, that must be so depressing. It's not. It's really beautiful. And it's like, sometimes I think our society is a little youth fixated, and in our seniors, they're living history. And it's like when we can open up to that, and when we can embrace our own aging, and also recognizing every day when we wake up is a blessing. And sometimes we can look at all the things, especially the outer circumstances, and be depressed, and this is happening, and that's happening. It's real, but it doesn't trump God. And those are facts, but the truth is the truth, and it's always the truth. And the truth is, through God, all things are possible, but we have to know it. And the thing with this philosophy, on one hand, it sounds so simple. Change your thinking, change your life. But for me, I'll just speak for myself, I can make it complicated. And in our Declaration of Principles, or what we believe, it says to the degree we become conscious of it. With this work, it's almost like, I don't want to use the analogy, but exercise. It's as good as the last day. Every day, for me, I have to do my spiritual practices, because if I don't, and I just lean on my own understanding, then I do get caught up in the outer world, in the complexities of life, because life isn't necessarily easy. There are going to be, sometimes you get a diagnosis, a prognosis. You may have financial issues, health challenges. But when we know who we are, to me, that's where we get to meet God. And then we don't need to know the how am I going to do this. God knows the how. But can you surrender to listen to how you're being navigated? Can you follow the divine guidance? Because a lot of times we'll get a little hit and we can poo-poo it. Or you get a thing, turn left instead of right, but I need to go right. But you turn left and you realize, oh my goodness, there was an accident, something had happened. And I really think life is about us trusting ourselves. And in working in end-of-life care, especially in bereavement, a lot of times people will say, I don't know how I'll live without this person. We were married 50 years or whatever it may be. And it's so beautiful when they start trusting themselves and recognizing their own strengths. And sometimes it's through adversity, we become more of our authentic selves. And sometimes without that change or that loss, we can get comfortable in the light. And we can even say, I don't want to rock the boat, I have it good. But what happens if God wants you to have great? We have to be able to let go of what we have so we can have more. And also, you don't want to just exist in this world. You want to live your life. And why not you? Sometimes we'll say, well, it's good, and do I want to challenge it? If we're here to make manifest God in the human spirit, if we know abundance is ours, why not? If radiant health is ours, if we tune into it, and it's through the adversity that we have the growth. It's through change that we grow. And the truth is, life is all about impermanence. Nothing stays the same. So when we can embrace the gray hairs, which I just dyed, but that's not here nor there. When we can embrace when things change, and also when we can see us through the eyes of God, then we're not going to be complaining about the chin hairs or this or that, but we can say, wow, I'm here. And also recognizing every person is here for a reason. And we're here by divine appointment. And sometimes people say, well, I don't know my reason. Be still. Listen. It's being revealed to you. People will say, well, I'm too old now. If you're breathing, you can do what you want to do. But you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have that connection to God's Spirit. And that's one thing that's really beautiful about our philosophy. There's always classes, because we always have to be not necessarily challenging ourselves, but supporting ourselves. And that's why there's also practitioners. So there's people that will hold that space for you, because if you when I stay in my head, I just kind of loop. But when I can talk to someone and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I'm facing, you can have that sounding board. And it's not to be judged, but it's to take you back to principle. What is it you believe? What are you doing? What are you holding? What is your vision for yourself? Because it really is up to us, and knowing that we have the freedom to create the life we desire to live. And so even in the dark times, I was thinking when they said light and dark coexist, I thought about darkness as manure. We don't necessarily want to handle it, but flowers need it. You know, so we do need those things. And if you think about a pearl, in order for it to get shiny, it's the grit that rubs against the pearl. So I think it's those times of adversity where we see the most growth, because it kind of takes us to our knees, if you will, and then we kind of learn to surrender. Now, some people may, and like me, just surrender automatically. I wrestle with it, I try to outthink it, and also, how often do we negate our feelings? Well, it's okay. Well, I'll tell them the next time. If we're all children of God, why don't we speak up for ourselves? Because if no one does, if you don't do it, no one else will. And it's like when you take a flight, they always tell for the parents, put your oxygen mask on first so you can be there for your children, whomever. That's life. And sometimes we can think, oh, it's so selfish. If you're not taking care of yourself, who will? And in working in hospice, we've had so many times, let's say if the husband's on service and the wife is the caregiver, she dies before he does, because she stopped taking care of herself because she's focusing on him. And it's not about judgment, but it's about your own self-care. And to me, part of your self-care should be your spiritual practices. And it's every day knowing who you are, speaking your word, because there's a power in our word. But we have to work it, we have to know it. And so, as spiritual beings having a human experience, not only is there adversity, but in order for us to grow, we sometimes have to let go of who we think we are. And that can be huge, because if you have shown up a certain way, oh, you're the oldest, you're the most responsible, so everyone's leaning on you. Oh, you're the baby, you don't know, so no one goes to you. But if you can say, hey, wait a minute, I need you to see me, and own your power. And sometimes people say owning the room, showing up in your fullness. And it's a little bit like the Marianne Williamson quote about being too great. Does that resonate with you? Yes. But it's true. You know, when we allow our light to shine, it liberates others. And when we play small, we're doing a disservice to God. Because we were born to manifest greatness. And it's in each and every one of us. But do we truly know it? Do we trust it? Do we think, oh, not me, but this person? You guys are so quiet, I'm getting nervous. Okay, so I'm in my head. Okay, so how do we live this life? I want to share some steps, if you will, and do with it what you please. So besides affirmative prayer or treatment, meditation, and affirmations, think about these 5 things to release. Trying to please everyone. It doesn't serve us. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Fearing change. Life is all about impermanence. Nothing stays the same. Living in the past. Well, you know, back in 42, I did blah, blah, blah. That doesn't serve us. All we have is this moment. Tomorrow's not promised. Yesterday's in the past. Putting yourself down. Anyone know self-deprecating humor besides myself? It doesn't serve us. Yeah, you get a laugh, but again, our thoughts have power. What are you putting in the universe? And this one I used to excel at. Overthinking. Has anyone ever overthought something to the point where they don't do it? You can be so excited when you're talking about it, and it's like, oh, wait now. You know, you think of all the reasons you can't. If you have an idea, that's God planting a seed. Let it grow. Let it grow. Nurture it, feed it, and be mindful who you share it with. Not everyone needs to know what's going on right away. And that way, when it happens, you can say, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And if it doesn't happen, that means it wasn't for you. You know, when we think about Ford, we think, oh, the automotive, cars. Do you know how many things you tried before that? Hershey, chocolate, yum, yum. Do you know how many things he tried before that? Edison. We don't think, oh, well, he didn't do this or that. We think, oh, wow, the light bulb, chocolate. And yet we want to hold ourselves to a different level of accountability. Oh, that business didn't work. I'm a failure. I could never be an entrepreneur. No, that one business wasn't there. And when things don't work out, it's a learning. Okay, what do I do? What did I learn from this? Because now I know how not to do it that particular way. But you have to be willing to go for it and know you're not defined by that action. And we're not defined by our jobs. It's something we do, it's not who we are. And especially in today's times where people have had layoffs and different things because of the pandemic, you're not defined by your possessions. You're defined by your character. And in this philosophy, it's also important to have gratitude. Even if you're struggling, to have gratitude. Because when we're thankful for what we have, we get more of it. But if we're kind of cursing what we have and this doesn't work and that doesn't work, what are you telling the universe? That's going to come back to you. So I want to share something from the Living the Science of Mind. But since today is the only day in which we live, and yesterday has forever passed, the change that we need to make within ourselves must be made today. If we make every day a day of praise and thanksgiving, a day in which we recognize the divine bounty and the eternal goodness, and if we live today as though God were the only presence and the only power there is, we would not have to worry about tomorrow. How powerful is that? So every day, to speak your word, to affirm what you desire. And that's like when we don't treat to feel better, we treat knowing, giving thanks for our radiant health. You affirm what it is you want. Sometimes it's baby steps. When I came into this philosophy, I was the parking genie queen. Now, mind you, yes, I do need to walk a little further, but that's not here nor there. But just start with something simple and build that prayer muscle. But knowing you control your destiny. And yes, sometimes things happen beyond our control, but we get to control how we respond to that event. And when we respond knowing who and whose we are, knowing that God is at the center of my life, we can tackle anything. But it's up to us to know who we are and to be open for our good, knowing that we're worthy just as we are in this moment. That is the truth. Okay, I think I'm done. Okay, so now I will do a treatment, and I know Jack will accompany me as I do my treatment. And so let's just breathe for a moment. Knowing that in this moment we're breathing in the breath of God. And I know that there's one life, one power, one presence, known by many names, and in this moment I choose to call it God. Knowing that the life of God is my life and the lives of each and every person within the sound of my voice. I, Toni Lynn Cormier, speak my word with absolute confidence and conviction, knowing that what I declare is made manifest here and now. I declare that I'm the absolute embodiment of radiant health, knowing that every cell, tissue, fiber, molecule in my body temple is whole, perfect, and complete. I declare that I have financial abundance, that I have innate gifts and skills that I share with the world, for which I'm compensated for beyond my wildest expectations. I declare that I have divine right relationships, that I am my authentic self with every person I meet. And I declare that right where I am, God is, that God is in, through, and all around me. And because there's only one, what is true for me is true for each and every person. And so I'm knowing that today is good and very good just because we are present. We woke up this morning. I bless the board as they're on their retreat, knowing that they are enlightened and they come back refreshed and ready to go. And knowing that there's no rehearsal in life. So may each person know that they are worthy right here, right now, just as they are. I release my word to the universal law where I absolutely know it is done. And if anything I've said resonates with you, please help me anchor this prayer by saying, and so it is.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all that I say.